So I'm African. And I propose we change our current mentality before we embark on the journey to improve our local circumstances. I bet you're already laughing. I bet you hate, and I bet you African. I bet you thinking this waste man's trying to fix a continent that's been broken like empty promises, so we might as well watch him perform his last piece in silence like Charlie Chaplin. I bet you so often criticize your leaders, but refuse to put aside your pride and hide behind that loose tongue that engages in more offensive runs than wild receivers. I bet you pat yourself on the back every night before you go to bed. I bet all of Africa's solutions are in that awesome head. I bet you run out of money to bet. Yeah, please tell me you saw what I just did there. Stripped him of all his wealth until he had nothing left to lose but his life. But worry not, for he's in good hands, just as long as he don't intend to put up a fight. Now let's gently roll back to Africa for a quick mission. Hopefully land right at the feet of the motherland, otherwise known as the blind widow who's been deprived of most her talented offspring and produce, yet she who shall never lay eyes on her accomplishments. As far as I'm concerned, there are only two kinds of Africans: the lost and the confused. And while the crooks learn to play the game, find the gaps and crack the code, the detectives just always seem to like the gadgets to crack the case before it's closed. I'm part of what they call the African Diaspora, meaning I'm trying to get back to her before she dies poorer than farm workers who try to work it out with governments that have no intention to work on their problems. Well, obviously, because they got others. So they expect us to become entrepreneurs, even when the local policy reads entre monsieur exclusively to the highest bidder. I tell my people money talks the loudest, so it only makes sense that we either learn to speak the language of thugs or jot our wishes down on paper. Tell me, how is one to effect change? When like Mr. Loney, they be trying to shed light on a state that's more exhausted and darker than burnt out tires. Like does someone else have to literally set themselves on fire to manifest the fact that our leaders are a bunch of liars? And your house want to draw inspiration when almost every mentor they even begin to look up to is getting assassinated, if not already dead? And how dare you preach to a starving man about religion in a state where he's only able to perceive God in the form of a loaf of bread? Yo, listen, bro. As Africans, we all know that our continent is highly inflicted with corruption, famine, and a range of other issues that impede it from realizing a sustainable development. But as members of the underdeveloped region living abroad as students or professionals, might I ask what exactly it is that we've done to make a difference? Because most of our conversations about the state of affairs back home contain at least a few oofs towards the poor strategies of our leaders. But here, aside from those remarks, may I ask once more what exactly it is that we be doing to make a difference? Oh yes, you're not the president of the country or the head of an international body, but you are an individual with an intellect, a potential skill set, and most importantly, an undying love for your community. So really, if you're basing your inaction on a lack of authority, if you're the kind to belittle the work the hopeful got going on currently, if your pessimism or ego inspires you to destroy your own community, then honestly, how are you any different from the leaders that we owe so religiously? I get that we're still dealing with the after effects of colonialism, just as there still exist strains of tribal and ethnocentrism. But really, how long more will we remain comfortable with outsourcing our goals and aims and continue treating the livelihood of the destitute like it's a game? And look, I get that we probably won't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but I'm sure we could both agree to the fact that if we don't soon put out the fire in this unequipped household, an entire neighborhood is bound to see the smoke. And it's only a matter of time before a rescue team show up at our front doors, having sold the narrative that they only intend to get us woke. So please don't think you're exempted from playing your part. Really, I don't care if you think you fit the part. But whether you're a writer, artist, athlete, or entrepreneur like Chimamanda, Akon, Mane, or Tembekwayo, you got a role to play. And really, if we refuse to resolve the pressing issues we have at hand ourselves, then we should neither be bothered when foreign entities try to exploit the untapped potential in our mother's land. So yes, I'm African. And I propose we change our current mentality before we collectively embark on the journey to improve our local circumstances.